From stories across the globe to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. A very good evening to you. I'm Sharifa Tahir.
A very good evening indeed. I'm Charita Minuparachi, and now let's move on to the headlines for tonight's news.
The number of patients fully cured from COVID-19 has increased to 21,800. 542 complete recoveries have left for their homes today. A series of special health instructions for the festive period. The President instructs authorities not to make COVID-19 an obstruction in the implementation of educational plans. The UNICEF organization recommends to implement the school system throughout the world despite corona threat. Interim report on the Mahara incident and report on progress of bond scam investigations presented in Parliament.
We move on to those and other stories in detail now. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa urged the educational authorities not to let COVID-19 hinder implementation of plans for the advancement of education from preschool to university level. This was stated by President Rajapaksa at a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat today to review the steps taken by the Ministry of Education and all state ministries under its purview to meet the expected objectives. The prime objective of the government is the development of human resource. The future generation of the country must be equipped with knowledge, skills and competences to make them productive citizens. President emphasized that the initiatives launched by the government in this regard should not be hindered due to the prevailing situation. The National Policy Framework Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor prioritizes the expeditious formulation of a national education policy. Another objective is to develop our education structure up to a level where children can learn from preschool to undergraduate level under a single syllabus with a specific objective in line with international standards. The strategies presented by the Ministry of Education and other related ministries were separately reviewed by the President to achieve this set target. Minister Professor G.L. Piri, State Minister Susir Premajayantha, P.R. Nishantha, Vijita Bergoda, Sita Arambepola, Secretary to the President P.B. Jayasundara and the relevant secretaries of the ministries were present at the discussion.
And meanwhile, the UN Children's Agency UNICEF says countries fighting the coronavirus should not impose nationwide or large-scale school closures, citing such actions would be the wrong response and compounds the societal cost of the disease. The UN agency has indicated that globally 320 million children have been locked out of schools at the start of December. The number of school children affected by COVID-19 related school closures soared by 38% in November, placing significant strain on the learning progress and well-being of an additional 90 million students globally. According to data collected by UNESCO, classrooms for nearly 1 in 5 school children globally, or 320 million, are closed as of December 1st, an increase of nearly 90 million from 232 million on November 1st. In contrast, the month of October saw the number of school children affected by school closures decrease nearly threefold. UNICEF said in a statement yesterday that closure school had not helped in fighting against COVID-19 but removed a system that provides children with support, food and safety as well as learning. As millions of children remain out of their classrooms for more than 9 months and many more are reliving the upheaval, UNICEF fears too many schools are closing unnecessarily and not enough emphasis has been placed on taking the necessary steps to make schools safe from COVID-19. The UNICEF has further indicated that schools' reopening plans must include expanding access to education, including remote learning, especially for marginalized groups. Education system must also be adapted and built to withstand future crises, the statement further added.
In the meantime, we take a look at the local situation of the pandemic. The epidemiologist says that the number of fully cured COVID-19 patients has increased to 21,800. 542 complete recoveries were discharged from the hospital today. 49 fully cured patients have left COVID-19 treatment centers in the Polonnaruwa district today. The recovered patients have been identified as residents from Colombo. 3,496 completely recovered COVID-19 patients have left hospitals last week alone. 542 complete recoveries were discharged today. The percentage of fully cured COVID-19 patients is at 73.31. As a number, it is 21,800. The percentage of those continuously undergoing treatment is at 26.21. As a number, this stands at 7,795. 359 corona patients were identified in the island today. Out of this number, 316 included close associates of the patients in the Palyaguda cluster. The remaining 43 patients have been identified as those connected to the prison cluster. The Ministry of Health informs caretakers that if they witness any change in the behavior patterns of small children, to receive immediate medical advice. 11,182 PCR tests were conducted yesterday. The total number of PCR tests conducted so far is at 945,052. Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana says that reports of identifying 150 COVID-19 patients adjacent to the police headquarters are completely false. Kandy Municipal Commissioner Amina Navaratna says that measures are being taken to impose travel restrictions in Mahayava Kandy with the detection of 28 COVID-19 patients in the area. Medical Officer of Health, Lindula, Dr. Jagat Abegunaratna says that travel restrictions have been imposed in Albion Confield in the Agarapatana Lindula, and 9 COVID-19 patients have been identified in the area. The close associates of such patients have been subjected to self-quarantine. Kalutara District Administrative Public Health Inspector R.G. Singhabahu says that the travel restrictions have been imposed in Kure Road in Kalutara South Police Division as one COVID-19 patient was detected in the area. It was also reported that the relevant person who was engaged in business activities in Colombo. The patient was returning home in a bus and the bus was halted and the patient was taken into health unit. 670 air passengers who were stranded in Saudi Arabia, Doha, Qatar, Dubai and the Maldives were brought to the island at dawn today. All of the returnees were subjected to PCR tests at the airport itself. The Health Ministry says that the maximum contribution of the general public is expected at the institutional level to prevent the spread of the coronavirus disease during the Christmas and festive period. The Ministry of Health in a communique has informed of several factors that enables to minimize the spread of the disease. It has been requested to the general public to minimize shopping during the festive season. When shopping, only one member of the family should engage in such activities. The shoppers should also obtain their requirements from the nearest trade center at a time when there is a lesser crowd. The ministry also requests them not to conduct parties, and the joy of Christmas and New Year should be shared between the family members. They should also refrain from engaging in recreation tours during the period. Director General of Health Services Dr. Asila Gunawadzana in his communique also advises the people to follow proper health guidelines when leaving their residences.
And meanwhile, Chief Epidemiologist Dr. Sudat Samaravida says that the public should refrain from certain and unnecessary fear in seeking medical attention from hospitals due to the COVID-19 pandemic situation in the country. He said that adequate precautions have been taken in the hospitals to mitigate the spread and avoid patients from contracting the disease. He made these remarks while speaking at a media briefing held today.
Reported in a 20 days old child at Lady Ridge Hospital for Children. It seems that this child has arrived to the hospital at late stage. That we have reiterated in many times that people should not be scared of coming to the hospital, fearing that they will get COVID-19 from hospital. That in the hospitals necessary precautions have been taken not to spread disease within hospital premises. So because of that, people should not get afraid of coming to the hospital. If somebody is having some illness and if there are some early signs, and if a ill or sick person is having change in the symptoms and signs, those people should immediately seek medical treatment. Or they can call 1999, the call center of the Health Promotion Bureau, and get an advice what to do and in this type of situation. But we request all the people that they should come if there is some illness or some change in their health condition as soon as possible to hospital. Then we can avoid any complications as well as avoid deaths.
Chairman of the Presidential Task Force of Economic Revival and Elimination of Poverty has instructed officials to take immediate measures to reopen the Palyaguda fish market adhering to health recommendations. He has made these remarks observation at a discussion at the Temple Trees. Renovation of the exit doors and roads in the Palyaguda Fish Market are scheduled to be completed expeditiously. Chairman Basil Rajapaksa has also pointed out that the methodology should be adopted to prevent dirtiness caused due to bird droppings. He has also reiterated that need to further strengthen security and supervisory mechanism according to health guidelines at the fish market through deployment of retired public health inspectors if the existing staff of PHIs in the Palyaguda Urban Council is not adequate to meet the demand. Indeed, after 10 years that the Palyaguda Fish Market is being reconstructed. The chairman has also instructed the authorities to take measures to commence activities at the new Manning Market by next Monday. The officials have pointed out on this occasion that the process of handling over new stalls to owners of stalls in the old market has been completed and that stalls have not been given to any new person. Chairman Basil Rajapaksa has also pointed out that the source of livelihood of a majority of people in the country is based on agriculture and fisheries industries. Therefore, the continuous closure of the Palyaguda Fish Market and the Manning Fish Market would cause a direct impact on the economies of farmers and fishermen.
The interim report of the committee appointed to look into the incident at the Mahara prison and the report on the progress of investigations into the central bank bond scam were presented in Parliament today. Minister of Justice, President's Counsel Ali Sabri, tabling the report, said that the legal status between Singapore and Attorney General of Sri Lanka have been discussed regarding the bringing of Arjun Mahendran to the country. The expenditures of the Ministries of Justice and State Ministry of Prison Reforms and Rehabilitation of Prisoners have been discussed in the Budget Committee stage debate today.
Also on several occasions, Honorable Kiriella and several other members in this House sought my opinion as to the present progress of the inquiry and the judicial proceeding pertaining to the central bank bond issue and the current status of the extradition request against Mr. Arjun Mahendran, the former governor of the central bank. Now, I, rather than just giving an answer on the spur of the moment, just to satisfy somebody, followed the due process, wrote to the Honorable Attorney General and sought a clarification as to the present status. So I am thankful the Honorable Attorney General had carefully prepared a document and submitted to me about the background and the instructions to the CID, proceedings in the Magistrate Court, for fort relating to the TB auction held on 27/5/2015, indictment before the Permanent High Court at the bar, its present position, writ application filed by one Mr. Ajan Punchihewa challenging the indictment filed against him, extradition request against Arjuna Mahendran, its present position, continuation of the investigation relating to the incidental matters, proceedings in the Magistrate Court of Colombo Fort relating to the Treasury bond auctions held on 29/3/2016 and 31/3/2016, proceedings in the Magistrate Court of Colombo against Mr. Ravikaruna Nayaka for committing perjury at the Commission, proceedings in the Magistrate Court of Colombo for Fort against PTL, AA, KP and others employees of the PTL for destruction of evidence, indictment filed by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery and corruption. So there is a comprehensive report as to the present position relating to what is happening in respect of the central bank bond investigation. So we will not rest until the last person who is responsible for this being brought before the courts. Singapore Attorney General has sought certain clarification from our Honorable Attorney General's Department regarding whether the kind of offence which we have charged here, the indicted, falls within the first schedule of the extradition treaty between us and them. So that is ongoing. So Honorable Attorney General will continue to make representation.
We'll be back with more local stories after a break.
Prima Kottumi, ಗೆದ್ದರ ಕ್ರಿಕೆಟ್ ಬಂತಮೈ.
Valuable Finance, the finance brand of the year 2020.
Welcome back with more local stories. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says that a country can combat corruption the best when her citizens have will and inclination to resist the erroneous practice. Intolerance for corruption by the citizenry is one of the best antidotes for it. The president made these remarks while issuing a message marketing the International Anti-Corruption Day today. The message of the President has indicated that the policy statement of the government, Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor, has placed a high emphasis on empowering the citizens to fight corruption. The core responsibility of his government is to eradicate waste and corruption. The message of the President has further pointed out that the citizens of Sri Lanka have vouched their strong support and shown their desire to have an efficient country which is corruption-free when they endorse his victory with a resounding majority. The President has requested the citizens to resist being subject to demands of any form of bribery. The President also requests to the citizens to perform their duty by prompt reporting of any incident of corruption or bribery to the law enforcement or investigative authorities. The message of the President has emphasized on the importance in rallying together to free the country of the culture of corruption and make it a worthy home for the generations to come.
The Sri Lanka Navy celebrates with gallantry its 70th anniversary. Navy Commander Vice Admiral Nishanta Ulugetana has taken measures to promote ranks of 1,729 sailors of numerous positions to the next higher rank in connection with the commemoration ceremony. It was on a day like today that the Royal Navy was established through Naval Act No. 34 of 1950. Britain had inaugurated the Ceylon Voluntary Navy in the year 1937 by taking into consideration of the importance of island Sri Lanka's unique location in the Indian Ocean. Later on the 1st of October 1943, it was renamed as Royal Ceylon Voluntary Sub-Service. The Royal Ceylon Navy was established with the onset of the 1950 decade. The journey of the naval force had taken a new turn in 1972 under the Republican Constitution. From thereafter, it was named as Sri Lanka Navy. A crucial change that had taken place at this instance was the removal of St. George's Cross from the flag of the Navy and the application of the term Sri Lanka naval ships to its fleet. The first Sri Lanka Navy commander was Rear Admiral G.R.M. Dimel. The Navy was directed towards operational duties since the year 1983 due to terrorist problems confronted by the country. The Sri Lanka Navy was a proud partner of the gallant humanitarian operation against terrorism in 2009. The prominent task of the present-day Navy includes extending of support to safeguard law and order in the country, prevention of numerous forms of criminal racketeering such as human trafficking and drug dealings, and another responsibility is to prevent illegal fishing. The Navy is also involved in search and rescue operations in the high seas as well as in internal reservoirs. They also assist in tasks of disaster management and maintaining security in marine and coastal belts. The Sri Lanka Navy is performing a unique and unparalleled service at present to the Sri Lankan Health Service to combat the corona pandemic. The Sri Lanka Navy is also identified as the first defence circle of the nation. A naval craft display has commenced at the Golf Face Green, Colombo today in parallel with the 70th anniversary celebrations. The foremost craft of the Navy, Sayurala, Nandimitra and Suranimala remained anchored in the Golf Face Green coast throughout the day today. The general public will also be accorded with the opportunity to witness numerous warships of the Navy until the 13th of this month.
And meanwhile, new members appointed to the Election Commission are scheduled to commence duties tomorrow. Chairman of the Election Commission is Dimalji Punchaheva. The other members are M.A. Mohammed, S.B. Divaratna, K.P.P. Patirana and Jeevan Tyagaraja. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has appointed the new members according to the Constitution. Commissioner General of Elections Saman Sri Ratnayaka, issuing a communique, says that newly appointed members are scheduled to commence duties tomorrow. Retired Supreme Court Judge Jagat Balapatapendi has assumed duties as the new chairman of the Public Service Commission today as the commission is in Batramulla. Jagat Balapatapendi has functioned as a magistrate, district judge, high court judge, president of the appeals court as well. He has also rendered service for a period of 5 years as Supreme Court judge. Upon retirement, he has functioned as the chairman of the Presidential Investigation Commission inquiring into charges on bribery and corruption for a period of over 5 years. He also functioned as a member of the Tax Appeal Commission until the time he received appointment as chairman of the Public Services Commission. Chairman Jagat Balapatapendi, assuming duties in his new appointment, said that he will discharge his responsibilities in carrying out recruitment, transfers and promotions of all state employees in the most impartial manner. Jagat Balapatapendi said that all members of the commission is hoping to grant justice to all state officials, including officials of the Police Commission, in their appointments, promotions and transfers.
We now move on to some news in brief. 6 houses constructed in the Gampaha Nigamba Divisional Secretariat divisions under the Obata Gayak Ratata Hetak National Housing Program were vested with the general public today. The houses have been constructed in Katua, Vealavidya Kurana, Setapadua, Porotota and Atukala. A crowd including State Minister Indika Anuruddha took part in the event. Provision of financial grants with the objective of transforming 146 university graduates into entrepreneurs and novel business attitudes has commenced recently. Under the program, grants ranging from 150,000 rupees to 4 million rupees are being provided. The chief guest at the inauguration ceremony was Minister Vimal Veeravansa. Carpeting of the main road of Mattegoda, Kirigam Pamanua and preparation of a pavement for pedestrians has commenced today. A sum of 70 million rupees has been set aside in this regard. A group including Minister of Trade Dr. Bandula Gunawardena has participated in the event. The Ragama Perlanda Lake is being developed at a cost of 150 million rupees. An exercising lane is also included in the project. The work is expected to be completed within a year. State Minister Nalaka Godaheva has taken part in the work, which commenced today. Steps have been taken to prepare a joint interministerial program to develop infrastructure facilities in tourist zones in the island. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga says the assistance of the Ministries of Water Supply, Power, Rural Roads and remaining Ministries of Infrastructure Facilities Development is scheduled to be extended for the program.
And meanwhile, senior army officer Major General Subhashana Valikala has passed away. He was a gallant officer who had heroically discharged duties in the humanitarian operation against terrorism. Major General Subhashana Valikala was in the forefront in the one-year operation since its inception. He was an officer of the Sri Lanka Singha Regiment and also functioned as commanding officer of the 4th Brigade of the regiment. Major General Valikala was also engaged in duties in the 57th Battalion of the humanitarian operation since the beginning. Thereafter, he was promoted as commander of the 682nd Brigade. Upon the historic victory, he has assumed duties in numerous positions in the army. It was only a few months ago that he was promoted to the rank of Major General. He has acted as the Commander-in-Chief of the 54th Brigade in Mana when he became indisposed. Remains of Major General Subhashana Valikala lie at his residence in Galanikama, Bandaragama. The funeral is scheduled to take place at the General Cemetery in Boralla tomorrow. And with that, we conclude tonight's news. Do it just tomorrow at the very same time. Stay safe. Good night.
Have a pleasant night.